the productive forces. Housing is one of the areas that could generate activity in the economy. And we have identified a number of housing projects. So we want to look in that direction.
Mr. Prime Minister, we're glad that you spoke a lot on tourism. But recently we got news of some problems in the Attorney General's office and also a problem with the police department. We realize if you have tourism, you must need police protection. And we would like to know something about what is going on with that area. Thank you.
All right. There have been two matters that the police have raised. And if I raise them, they may appear to be coming from my perspective. And I have said to people, the reason why you have different religions and different political parties, and it's because you have difference of opinion and how to apply whatever principle that you have adopted. The first one is the question that the police feel that they want free medical attention. Government has been giving them free medical attention. They figured out they wanted it through an insurance. Government is paying premiums for them and their dependents. And when they go through dental and eye surgery, the difference is made by government. So when insurance meets whatever they meet, government makes a difference. Somehow they felt they wanted it amended, they wanted the act amended. And we have agreed to put a proviso in the act whereby their concern was if the insurance company folds up, what would happen? So they wanted it inserted and we have agreed to do it. The other one is the question of their pensions. They argue that in 1990, the government had agreed to grant them, legislate and grant them pension for life. But here you have a situation when the Social Security Act came in 1976. So those who were in the force before were given that pension up to the time when Social Security would kick in with their benefits. Now the law is clear on that if you're receiving pension benefits and then you have to receive another one, you will opt to which one you want to receive. That is the one in your interest, the one that is favorable to you. And if Social Security is kicking in, it cannot kick in less than what you were receiving. But in effect, what they want is to have a pension for life and to have the benefits from Social Security, which would mean two pensions from the same employer. It would be two pensions from the same employer. So they've been arguing this thing. And right now what we've done, we have put a committee, a broad-based committee from the Dominica Employers Federation, the DAIC, and government and the Police Welfare Association to review even the minutes, because while they are alleging that it was so, the minutes doesn't show so at all. So they're going to review, and I believe what is happening, and I have said it because there is a perception that the government is weak, so everybody punks in for their pound of flesh. And I still want to tell you, the government is not weak. If there is that perception, of course, they say perception is greater than reality in politics. But we have tried to show, well, this is not the case, but we're still opening up, bringing in outside forces so that they can review the whole matter and make recommendations to government. That is the situation with the police. And these are the two matters. Is the police alone you raise? Well, the Attorney General's office, the first Attorney General, was on contract, and indicated that he wasn't interested in continuing because he felt he was being hindered in his own political. Well, I haven't heard what you said, so I couldn't tell you if it is true. The other one, who was Mr. Bruni, apparently tendered his resignation after a decision was taken by him that was legally incorrect. And when the matter was brought to the public, somehow he felt he didn't have a choice but to submit his resignation. So that has been the case with the Attorney General.
Yes, Honorable Prime Minister. I've sat here and I've listened to all the questions, and they all seem to be addressing systems. We need systems for this, we need to ease up in this system. But my mind goes to dealing with the person. And there are certain aspects of Dominica that need to be addressed on a personal level. The drug problem, the immorality, the promiscuity, and all those things. Because no matter how many systems you put in place, if the people themselves are not geared towards enjoying and maximizing on those systems, you're going to be in all these types of problems. One of the problems we have in Dominica, and I must say I'm speaking from the point of view that I even contributed to that problem, is the problem with one-parent families and fathers not meeting their responsibilities and running away and leaving the people begging, sort of. Another problem that I would like you to address is the question. I've learned that a man does not get rich by the amount of money he makes, but by the amount he keeps. And there are so many foreign investment, foreign organizations, and we keep hearing rumors of the Chinese and the Japanese coming in and getting concession from the banks that the locals cannot get and taking off of the money. I would like to know what your government is doing to address this situation.
You are a biblical man, and you'd be aware of the words of the Bible, that when the end is coming, but the signs would be like. But we know that the basic unit of society is the family. And if you haven't got stable families and you have single-parent homes, you're going to have a lot of difficulties, because even those homes and families where you have both parents, you have great challenges for a number of reasons. When you have a situation where 60-something television stations are beamed at the youth 24 hours a day, imposing values that are alien to the people, raising expectations, making them put great demands on you. New York is not strange to me. Before I was in government, Labor Day couldn't pass for me not to be in New York. Most people thought I was living in New York, because every year they see me in New York for the entire weekend. So I know what obtains here. But you go to Dominica and you see the way the people dress, you would swear they just won a lottery somewhere. But these are demands they put because most of them are not employed. So they put demands on you in the diaspora. They put demands on the parents at home. And what is the consequence of that? They have to be involved in a number of illicit activities to maintain that stature, to have that appearance, which really is just a fake thing. So I have been calling on the nation to live within their means. Too many people want to overcommit themselves. They pass, they see you with a big fridge, they run by courts. A job they have for 6 weeks, 6 weeks job. They run by courts. After 6 weeks they lose the job, problems. Problems, they cannot pay the higher purchase. So, but I've been raising those things. And it is not a matter that I do not want people to have. But too many people are coming to me with those kinds of problems. I cannot resolve all those problems. All those people who want everything, and when they are faced with either the bills or the bailiff, or yes, they come to me, and I cannot make magic. And there are some straight examples, and I'm usually very frank and blunt with people. You are not working, you want water connection, you want all utilities. How are you going to pay for them? You have 2 children, the father not maintaining them. How are you going to pay for them? So you have problems. So it is a process. It is something we have to engage our people in. Because if the family is unstable as it is, we're going to have problems. And that is where we have to pay attention to. Stabilizing the family. Because we are a country, we have people who are reasonably well off. We have strong pockets of poverty in Dominica. Serious pockets of poverty in Dominica. And I call them pockets because it is not prevalent all over the place. And if we are able to address that and to educate our people, we have to. I had problems with my son when he tried to dress like those stars on television. I never succeeded. But I tried hard to let him know that they are actors paid to dress the way they're dressing, paid to do what they're doing on the television. But you see them walk the street like Ice Cube or like, you know. So that is the expectation. And sometimes, and again I want to be very blunt, sometimes some of our people who come from overseas, I know, and you would know if you're going home, you buy some new clothes, and you go home, you wear them. I mean, you can afford it. Mark my words, you can afford it because you worked, you have your resources, but you buy some new thread and you go down. Then in Dominica, when you are seen that way, well, they think they should dress like that too, though they cannot afford it. I'm not saying you should not, mark you. I'm not saying you should not. Again, I try to repeat and reinforce the point that you can afford it. You have worked, and therefore you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Yes. But the point I'm making is, our people get envious. They like to see, and I have said it, a man has worked for 40 years. He buys a car, he builds a house. A youth is 19 years, he wants the car and the house that it took you 40 years to have. But that's one of the problems that we have too. So they had to get involved in the drug trade. Very lucrative. Very lucrative. They don't have to work hard. All they have to do is to get involved in the trade. And then you see them again in rental and womanizing because they show you they have the money. And with the expectations coming from our younger generation, it is easy for them to fall prey. That is a problem we have on our hands. That is why I have been advocating not only prayer, but prayer and action. Prayer and action.
There was a second part of the question concerning the money that is leaving the country to the foreign corporations.
Okay, you made not attest to those examples that you make. We know that when companies, foreign companies come into Dominica, they are allowed to repatriate the profits. But in Dominica today, you hardly have, those companies operating because you refer to Japanese. The Japanese have no activity going on in Dominica apart from the assistance they're giving us. The Taiwanese has no project apart from the assistance they're giving us. So basically, if you're talking of the banks, Scotia, Royal, Barclays, and that is probably where the money is going out. But there has been no conscious move by government to deter them or to, in fact, that would be a wrong signal. Because that globalization process, I have indicated that while we are part of it, whether we like it or not, it is going to be very troublesome for us, a small island state with almost no manufacturing going on. So it is one whereby we will be importing and have nothing to export to take advantage of the removal of tariffs and other barriers. So again, it is something real. It is not something we are imagining. It is something that we have to deal with and find creative ways to either circumvent it or to deal with it. I don't know if that's...
The lines that I'm thinking where we need to get something about.
Please pass the microphone to NC.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Prime Minister. It's nice to see you, and I want to wish you all the best. But I have a point to make. In your address, most of the things you talked about had to do with economics, money, how we can get money, how we can move the country forward. These things are not easy. We know that. You're in a hot seat, and I understand your plight. Most of the questions that came from the people also were generated along those lines. But I feel there are certain little things we can do that can shape Dominica for the future. We look too much at tomorrow, but we don't look way down into the future. And one of the areas I think you didn't touch on was the education of our young people. Because that is very, very key to where Dominica will go into the future. Amen. And one of the things we should do is prepare our children to face life when they leave school. We teach them arithmetic, we teach them English, we teach them to read, but we never prepare them for the hurdles that life is going to throw in their paths. And we have to start doing that if Dominica have to move forward. And not only that, but we have to teach our children to be patriotic. Because if we don't teach our children about Irving Lingford and E.O. Leblanc and other their past heroes, they are not going to respect our people back home because they have no role models back home to fall on. They will look up to what they see on television and what they see from every other country. We have to start educating our children to accept Dominica as their homeland and accept their heroes as their role models. Now, this doesn't cost a lot to do because you don't have to spend a lot of money on that. All you have to do is to educate the teachers because you are just college in Dominica. Let them know that part of their duty is to educate their teachers to prepare our children to face life after they leave school. One other point. You talk about tourism. And it's going to cost a lot of money for most Dominicans. We all know that. But one thing we can do while we try to raise the money and promote Dominica is to stabilize the country. Right now, we're also using Dominica to get involved in gangs. Because again, we are television, it's on TV. Our policemen, I first time to make the point, morale is very low in the police force today. Policemen don't want to arrest anybody in Dominica. Because if they do that, the public get on them. And even in the courts, the Attorney General and his staff, they are so, well, I don't want to say poor, but they are so lousy, and most criminals get away easy. So police morale is low. If you want to make the country stable for tourism, we got to a stable country. And therefore, I think the policemen, you should give the policemen more support in what they're trying to do. And we have to pass laws to make sure the country remains stable at all times. These young gangs, we have to plant them in the law before it's too late.
Okay, you dealt with one aspect of education, because you said I didn't touch on education at all, but I said that we're paying prime attention to the human resource development. But the aspect you raise is very important. There has to be some kind of reorientation of the teachers, first of all, and we are talking of the education reform, whereby those very matters are raised. I quite agree with you, and I am noting that. And the question of the support for the police, I am not sure whether you're justified in saying so, because I know I'm giving the police every possible support that I can, because I have the background of, I'm coming from the cadet corps, so in my mind, and myself as a disciplinarian, I will not give any indication that would try to lower the morale of the police or to demoralize them in their efforts to get the job done. The police department is not exempted from the problems, the financial problem that we ever do. And it's critical for them with transportation, with accommodation. It's very critical for them. And I think if there is low morale, it is coming more from that source than from lack of that kind of support from government for them to curb the kind of things that are going on. I have been in discussions with the gazetted officers over the same gang formation in Dominica, more so in Roseau. And they are trying their best to deal with it. They have a manpower problem, and it goes in a vicious circle. To increase their manpower, you now have to get more resources. So again, I will take note of that, because it is a very important point that you're making.
Dr. Mitchell.
Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister. My name is Leroy Mitchell. I am glad that you have started some initiative to engage the Dominicans who are in this country. I would rather see it done sooner than later, because I'm sure that we have quite a bit of talent and effort and resources perhaps to contribute to our island. We speak of the banana industry. I am wondering what steps are taken to, if we're losing the banana industry, as it appears, why can't we divert some of our resources to some of the other agricultural products which we have, like cocoa and coffee and some other items which we used to flourish with in the past? That's number one. And the second question I would like to ask you is, the Benjamin's Park in Portsmouth, I understand that the work on this park is at a standstill right now. Could you explain to us why it is and whether it will be completed? Thank you.
On the first point that you raised is that now I have an assistant to me, Mr. Emmanuel Nandan, as the unofficial link with the Dominicans in the diaspora. And we just want to formalize it, I guess, at the meeting, at the symposium. After the symposium, we'll have something more formalized. The question of diversifying into some other crops, I do not think there is a problem in that. You know where the problem lies? I am sure you know. Marketing. That is where the problem is. Because farmers had moved into the production of ginger. It thrived well for about 2 years. After that, there was a glut. And as you would say, a dome all fall down. Cocoa, you would have a problem in the market. But we can identify the exotic fruits, our special brand of coffee, and other exotic fruits. Especially one of the areas we are going into is the area of organics. I think the market is very lucrative, but again, we are not the only country thinking in that direction. So by the time it would come to bloom, we would also be faced with competition, but we are going in that direction. On the Benjamin's Park, there had been the impression that there was total funding for all what was required to be done in Benjamin's Park. There was not. The funding so far was to deal with the drainage of the subsoil. And what is left to be done right now is to spread the topsoil. If it is done under the wet conditions, the efforts would have been wasted. So they're just allowing a little more sunshine to come so that they could spread the topsoil and to grass it.
Ladies and gentlemen, final question from Ms. Agnes Abraham. Final question.
Honorable Prime Minister, my name is Agnes Abraham, and I'm the proud daughter of a banana grower. I'm not going to address the banana issue, though. One of my very emotionally attached problems with Dominica is the problem of the youth. One of the things that I have tossed in my head time and time again is, what are we doing in light of the drug problem in Dominica? First of all, if you have a drug problem, you look at prostitution, you look at people needing drug rehabilitation, you need at people being educated to not depend on drugs. What have we done as a people, and what have you done as a government to put in place programs or projects to deal with our young people who have been drug addicted or drug dependent, and training for being marketable in the years to come?
We could sit here tonight and identify all our problems. All of them. Philosophers have done that in the past, discover all the problems of the world, but how to resolve them is the A problem. We can search the archives of Dominica and find many studies on a number of the issues raised. Usually, you don't have the resources to do what you want to do. We clearly realize the dangers that drugs pose among the youth. We have a drug education unit or anti-drug education unit, either which way you want to call it. We have a DARE program going on with the police. And every opportunity is taken to raise the issue. But then you need a rehab program. And it is something that we've been talking about. You need some facility. And it comes back again in the vicious circle that they don't have the resources. But we spare no opportunity in raising the issue in the schools, because that DARE program is among school children, and the anti-drug unit deals with schools, both primary and secondary. So that is what we're trying to do. It's not enough. I cannot say because we're doing that it's enough. But that is what we can do, given what we have. And you said you're the daughter of a proud banana grower. Up to January 2000, I was a banana grower. Myself, digging, carrying, everything.
So we have something in common other than
Hold on a minute, please. Honorable Prime Minister, I truly want to thank you, extend profound thanks to you, because I know it has been a hard day. I know you went to the airport yesterday because you called me when you were there and you were waiting for the flight. When it was cancelled, you called again, and early this morning you called again when you were leaving this Dominica. So I know that you have had a very long day, and this week you have a long week ahead of you. So we really want to thank you for being here tonight and for taking the questions and for answering it. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to thank you very much for your cooperation. You have been very kind. You have been at your best behavior yet. So I just want to thank you. I know you had a long day. Some of you came in here from 2:30, so thanks again for your support, and have a good night. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Hello? Your attention, please. There will be an interview on WLIB on Wednesday morning at 9:05. WLIB, Wednesday morning, 9:05.
For those who are interested in getting a tape of the proceedings for your archives, it's available from Mocha Productions. Everything that was done here today is available on tape. Please speak to Kathy and Morrison Thomas about getting a tape for your archives so you can show your children, your grandchildren, and your friends. Thank you.